The court decided the case of Halliburton Company versus Erica P. John Fund. It's an important case in the securities litigation arena. The court was addressing the presumption of reliance that the court adopted back in the Basic versus Levinson case and considering whether to overrule that case or substantially modify the presumption of reliance. The securities fraud plaintiffs have to prove reliance as an element of their claims. And the presumption of reliance is a rule that allows the court to presume that the plaintiffs have relied on the alleged fraud. It's an important presumption that enables plaintiffs in securities fraud litigation to sustain class actions. Critical decision whether something can proceed as a class action, because most of these cases will then settle. In this case, the court decided not to overrule the Basic versus Levinson presumption. Instead, the court adopted a fallback argument that Halliburton made, that even if they didn't overrule Basic, they should make it clear that the defendants at the class certification stage have the right to present evidence showing that the alleged misrepresentation did not actually impact the stock price. And so therefore you can't rely on the presumption to justify class certification. That's an important ruling that will expand the arguments defendants can make to defeat class certification in securities fraud cases. And as I say, class certification tends to be the whole ball game. The majority opinion deciding not to overrule Basic, but to allow defendants to present rebuttal evidence on price impact was written by the Chief Justice, and it was joined by 5 other members of the court. It's relatively rare for the court to overturn a prior decision, particularly one that, like this case, Basic versus Levinson, was interpreting a statute. The court pointed to that as an important factor. The thinking is that if they got it wrong the first time and Congress doesn't like it, Congress can always change the statute. This was a little bit of a different case here because it involves an implied cause of action. Congress never adopted any statute that gives plaintiffs in these cases a private right of action for damages. That was created by the Supreme Court. They implied this private right of action, and then they imposed on it the presumption of reliance in the Basic case. So this is not your typical decision about statutory interpretation. Nevertheless, the court said that's a factor. If Congress wants to change it, they can change it. They just basically didn't see a sufficient justification here, a special justification for revisiting and overturning the prior decision. I think this decision will have a significant effect on class actions in the future and will limit and reduce the number of class actions.